on the House side, Senator Latz and Senator Limmers on the Senate side. And we should really appreciate their leadership in addressing this growing problem that's, as you'll hear today, affecting retailers, workers, communities, the supply chain, the entire consumer chain across Minnesota. What you'll see is a really strong coalition today here on this bill, reflecting the seriousness of the problem and the wide range of industries impacted, from retailers to trucking companies to manufacturers to other supply companies across the chain. Organized retail crime is not isolated. It is not isolated shoplifting. It's not a simple crime. It's a much more deeply enterprise-connected crime that's connected to criminal networks that are often multinational organizations. These enterprises really target every point of the supply chain. That's what you'll hear today, from trucks to the store shelves, and they move products really quickly. They move across jurisdictions, making it difficult for our law enforcement. And in many cases, the proceeds from their activities fund other heinous crimes like drug trafficking, human trafficking, and other violent crimes. Minnesota did take an important step in 2023. We defined organized retail crime. We separated it from shoplifting. But the challenge now for us is execution. These criminal networks that you'll hear about operate across cities. They operate across counties, even across state lines. While our law enforcement systems end up working on a case-by-case basis, they're spreading their criminal activity across all jurisdictions. That fragmentation makes it really difficult to connect the dots when these crimes are occurring. And as you'll hear today, this bill actually helps close the gap. The bill creates an Organized Retail and Supply Chain Crimes Advisory Board at the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. It brings together law enforcement, prosecutors, labor, industry, stakeholders to share information and support stronger investigations against enterprise-level crime units. This is really a practical and scalable solution. It focuses on better coordination first, connecting the dots, and then building strong enforcement over time. We've seen that this approach can work. Minnesota has a financial crimes task force that this is modeled after. In addition, 17 other states have established some type of task force or coordinating board to fight these organized efforts. Without this coordination, these networks will continue to grow, and the adds costs ultimately to a consumer's bottom line. Organized retail crime in Minnesota is costing families money, it's causing safety concerns, and it's hindering vitality in our communities across the state. This bill gives this solution a critical path forward, and we appreciate the leadership behind it. Like I said, Representative Witte is with us here today. Representative Doris is with us here as well, and I'd like to turn it over to Representative Witte.
Thank you. My name is Jeff Witte. I have the proud to serve Lakeville, and I appreciate this opportunity as a former police officer. I saw firsthand how this can affect our businesses, our retail stores, but also our communities and the people we serve. We have an opportunity. Minnesota has momentum from a 2023 organized retail crime definition law created the foundation. House File 2879 is the next step, moving from definition to execution and coordination. We need to shut down organized criminal enterprises, strengthen public safety, protect communities, support businesses, and our tax bases across Minnesota. The solution is a coordinated state response by bringing the experts to the table and working together. And that's the key part here. We got a lot of support up here from the business community, the trucking community, all the different entities, but working together. We can coordinate quickly across jurisdictions, support dedicated resources, and a clear pathway to build enterprise-level cases, identify patterns, track repeat offenders, and connecting incidents across regions, expand training and best practices, and leverage resources more effectively. In conclusion, organized retail and supply chain crime is evolving, and Minnesotans' response must evolve with it. House File 2879 provides a practical, proven path forward, a coordinated statewide approach that brings together the right partners, focuses resources where they are most effective, and targets the criminal enterprise driving this activity. This is about protecting Minnesota's communities, supporting workers, and ensuring a safe, reliable marketplace for consumers. Thank you for being here.
Hi, everybody. Just wanted to briefly introduce myself. I'm Representative Matt Norris. I represent the cities of Blaine and Lexington in the Minnesota House, very retail-heavy district, and so I'm pleased to be working with my colleague here in the House, Representative Witte, on this bipartisan bill. Great to work with the retailers and others. To your point, it's about working together, Representative Witte, and looking forward to doing that as the session progresses.
First, I'd like to say thanks for this opportunity to speak in front of you. My name is Josh Percola. I'm a detective with the Coon Rapids Police Department, currently assigned to investigations where I specialize in retail crimes, fraud, and some other organized retail issues that plague Coon Rapids. I'm also a member, the vice president of the Minnesota Organized Retail Crime Association. And so far as you've heard, organized retail crime isn't just a problem for one store or one city. It's much larger than that. The people behind it are organized and often operate across multiple areas, so we need to be just as coordinated at the state level. That means better communication between law enforcement, retailers, and state agencies, and making sure information is shared quickly and consistently. When we connect the dots and work together, we have a much better chance of stopping these networks and preventing repeat offenders. I've investigated numerous theft enterprises, and one key area we could improve on is sharing and coordinating efforts. I believe having a statewide entity and/or some type of task force would greatly increase our efforts. I would like to thank Bruce for the opportunity to come up and speak in front of you today. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Karen Tapero, and I'm the Director of Retail Operations for Patina, a Minneapolis-based retailer that has been a part of our community since 1993. We have 8 locations across the metro and employ between 200 and 300 people, depending on the season. Our stores are designed to be joyful places, spaces where people can explore, discover something fun, and feel welcome. But increasingly, we are dealing with something very different: organized retail crime. This isn't occasional shoplifting. What we're seeing is coordinated, repeat activity. For example, in 2004 and 2005, we dealt with a repeat offender who stole from multiple Patina stores. At first, she blended in like any other customer, but when we reviewed the video over time, we discovered a clear pattern. She was targeting high-demand collectible plush toys called Jellycat and reselling them online. We later learned she was taking orders from online buyers and stealing specific items on request. This wasn't random, it was planned. In another situation, a group targeted several of our stores. They came in with bags, filled them, and made it clear what their intentions were. When our staff approached them, the situation escalated. In 2 cases, employees were assaulted. In others, threats were made. Our team began noticing the same individuals, the same methods, even vehicles with stolen plates. The pattern was obvious at the store level. But connecting those incidents across cities and jurisdictions is extremely difficult. Our local law enforcement partners work hard and we appreciate them, but without better coordination and the ability to connect the dots statewide, these cases often stay small, even when the networks behind them are not. That's why this legislation matters. This bill helps us move from reacting to individual incidents to addressing organized criminal networks. For retailers like Patina and for employees and communities we serve, the coordination is the missing piece. We love being a part of Minnesota's communities, and we want our stores to remain welcoming places. This bill helps to make that possible. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm John Houslodden, President of the Minnesota Trucking Association and a strong supporter of House File 2879. You've already heard it. These organized theft groups, many operating from foreign countries, target both cargo and data at every point in the supply chain, and they are using an increasingly level of sophisticated tactics. Understand, we don't just move freight, we move data. And the technology that we created to move our freight efficiently to help our customers creates new vulnerabilities that the bad guys know and they exploit. Now, in the old days, it was smash and grab, straight theft, take the trailer, take the contents, or perhaps even worse, they would hijack the truck. The new strategies include things like fictitious pickups, cyber attacks, GPS data spoofing, where they pretend vehicles are in locations where they're not, or even, most critically, identity theft. And when you think about a typical load, you have a shipper, you have a receiver, you have a driver, you have a fleet, oh yes, and maybe you have a broker. These are 5 parties whose identities are regularly being stolen. So now each party has to worry if they're doing transaction with a real person or a fictional person or a fictional entity that has hacked a transaction. And you've probably heard of the theft of 2 truckloads of Guy Fieri and Sammy Hager's tequila. $1 million. 24,000 bottles of tequila stolen to organized theft. But from St. Cloud to Wilmer to St. Paul, my members can tell you the same stories, with losses ranging from $22,000 to $250,000. I have to tell you, one member fleet had its identity stolen, and in 45 minutes, it had 7,800 fake loads posted on a load board that the bad guys are going after. Another member, virtually in real time, had its load digitally redirected to go from Wilmer to St. Cloud, from Wilmer to Sacramento, California. Cargo theft now exceeds $35 billion annually in the United States. And because supply chain theft takes place over multiple jurisdictions, our fleet members are often facing this painful game of trying to find some law enforcement agency somewhere to help. A load is dispatched in one city, it's picked up in a different county. It might even be delivered in a distribution center in another state. So the question is, who has jurisdiction? My members are simply left with the question of not knowing where to turn. So we believe that this work group created by the bill will provide that right framework to address these critical problems that increase supply chain costs and impacts all Minnesotans. And here's the good news. It's a nonpartisan bill with no political opposition. The only people who don't like it are the bad guys, and we can beat them. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Good morning. I'm Scott Lambert, President of the Minnesota Automobile Dealers Association. My association represents all the franchised new car dealers in the state of Minnesota. Combined, our dealerships generate annually $18 billion in sales, have a payroll of $1.4 billion, and pay over $1.2 billion in sales tax. In the past few years, Minnesota dealers have witnessed a rise in what they would consider sophisticated and organized crime. These are not common smash and grab crimes of opportunity like shoplifting, but rather premeditated crimes that can be complex and require some thought to pull off. Wheel and tire thefts, cloned vehicles, burglars using glass cutters to gain entry, disabling of alarm systems, catalytic converter theft are all examples of crimes that are becoming more and more organized and well thought out. Our biggest problem with battling these crimes is the lack of coordination among law enforcement. Well-intentioned and hardworking investigators in individual cities will do their best, but as thieves hop from one municipality to the next, no one is coordinating the investigations and arrests are hard to be made. In short, we need some help and are asking the state for coordination in all these investigations. We very much appreciate the leadership of Representative Witte and Representative Norris and the other lawmakers who are involved in this. We believe a task force that can help us coordinate investigations ongoing will make a big dent into these problems, and we look forward to getting this done. Thank you.
We'll just end quick with, again, a thank you to Representative Witte for his leadership, Representative Norris, Senator Latz, Senator Limmer. It's an important bill. We hope to see some really definitive progress this year. And I just want to point out there's a large number of stakeholders, kind of a large number that you don't normally see, and that's from businesses to law enforcement to labor groups. There's a full understanding that this problem is impacting Minnesotans, it's impacting affordability, it's impacting our families. And it's time for Minnesota to rise to the level of the criminal networks and fight coordination with even better coordination. With that, we'll take any questions that anyone might have. All right, well, the folks that spoke today will be available for other interviews and others as well if you're interested. But thank you so much for your attention to this issue, and we appreciate it.